and I'm joined today by Al from Alchemy. Hi, Al.
Hey, Derek. Good to be here.
Yeah, thank you for joining. I love the
Pleasure.
beginning of these because I know for a fact I'm only speaking to people watching the recording because the people watching live are still trickling in. So, hi, people in the future. How's the future? I'm here in the past. It's pretty good. Beam Me Up Now is here in the present. Beam, thank you for joining. Al, I'd like to introduce you to Beam. Beam Me Up Now, one of the most prolific members of our community. And in particular on the smart contract side and on the front end side, Beam Me Up Now and I have spent quite a few months now going through various like tutorials. Like I don't know if you've seen Patrick Collins over at Chainlink put out that monster 32-hour course thing. We've been digging through that one bite at a time. And so it's
Love
good to have. We've got like a really solid community of regulars, of which Beam Me Up Now is like the hallmark. Like when I say Apple, you know how you probably picture like a red gala apple. Like so when I say the ETH Denver community, I picture Beam Me Up Now. That's like the archetype. But we also have people that are showing up more consistently recently, like Alana the Web3 girl. Good to see you again. And then Andre, it doesn't show the it doesn't actually show the emojis when I do this. It just says
Doritos
Doritos
chip,
chip,
Doritos chip,
Doritos chip,
Doritos.
Doritos chip. This actually reminds me. There was a stream we did a couple of weeks ago where somebody was like, dude, that's super cool. Elbow cough. And I was like, what the hell's elbow cough? And then I realized that that's the name they give to this emoji. Like
Ah,
somebody
nice.
coughing in their elbow, and we were like, "Oh my god, they call dabbing elbow cough." So then, like, it didn't really stick as a joke, but I've been kind of hoping like that we would be able to say to each other like, "Real nice one, dude, elbow cough," like have
Can I
that
just
be.
ask what you think when you sneeze? Do you go for the elbow cough, or because I'm a sneeze into the sweatshirt maxi?
Yeah, okay, I appreciate that maximizes like the consideration of others, and I've had countless times where I ended up with snot inside my sweatshirt and then had to like hold it like this until I run around and grab a paper towel, and that's just the reality. I my guilty pleasure is in spaces where I can get away with it, like just sort of like facing the ground and just sneezing onto the floor or like because I don't want it on me, so I just
Right,
sort of
right,
release it, but I'm not toward people. I'm not trying to be mean. I just want to like let it go and let I'll vacuum it up later, kind of a thing.
right. Nice, nice. That's a good tip.
Yeah, Alana, the Web3 girl vibes with this, sneeze into the sweatshirt maxi.
People look at me weird when I do that, but it's just, would you rather me
Why
do
would they?
like
That's like the second most common technique. It's not like you're
that's what I
sneezing on your
thought.
hand. I know a guy that sneezes on his
No,
hand, and I'm
no,
like,
that's
why?
that's
That's worse than
2008.
just sneezing out into the air because then you just concentrate and smear it on things.
I had someone tell me explicitly like, no, dude, do the elbow cough. But I just don't
Chicken
understand
wing.
because you don't get coverage. You literally you literally are just sneezing out into the air. You don't get full coverage. So
You don't get full coverage.
no, and
Uh,
and that's very, that's very software development. You want full coverage in anything.
you got to have good coverage. Yeah. So Al is joining from Alchemy, and today we're going to be digging into in just a moment an example of how Alchemy and its suite of products and APIs and tooling can make it so much easier as a developer, especially in Web3, to do what you need to do on the front end, to be able to whip up a quick front end and then interact with blockchain data that you want to be able to read and even write to without having to go through nodes. Like when I was starting on my journey a little more than a year ago, just put blockchain aside for a second. It is not obvious to somebody who has not studied this stuff where data and computation happen. And the deeper you go, the more you realize, like, wait, I thought it was just like my computer talks to one centralized server over in a mountain that like Amazon's maintaining or whatever. And then I started learning about like lambda functions where it's just like calling random pieces at different times, or like that my computer can receive a bunch of stuff and do a lot of local computation before it sends stuff back. And then you throw the blockchain in, which is itself a very bad computer as far as processing goes. Like you're having 10,000 or tens of thousands of computers work together to be one slow computer. And so this relationship between reading and writing data becomes a pretty interesting one to dig into, as you think about like, well, what do I want to store and be able to read later, and what can I handle? Um, like, I mean, the dirty secret of NFTs is that a lot of their metadata is still on AWS buckets, right? So there's a lot of there's a lot of like pieces at play here and design decisions being made. So that's why I think front end is a great in for these conversations, because even if people don't know about all that stuff, as you start to understand, like, so what does it take to display this number? And then when I click and like sign with my MetaMask or whatever wallet you use, what happens next? So we're going to get into some of those details today. And hopefully, even for you non-front end folks, you'll learn a lot about how these pieces work together. And feel free to ask a lot of questions along the way and interrupt this. That's why we do it live, so that this can be conversational. If you wanted high production value, we'd record it and put it up later, but that would be less fun, wouldn't it?
Ask questions, please. I want to see the chat popping with questions. If anything looks weird, it's like, why did he do that? Pop it in the chat, please, and we'll bring it up live.
100%. Okay, so I'll let you set the table. What are we going to get into today?
Thank you. So just quick question: what is our time looking like?
We got till the top of the hour, give or take.
Okay, good to know. So what we'll do today is kind of explore AU, which is Alchemy's kind of mainstay educational product, and within that, pull up one or two for this kind of front end Wednesday hour that we're doing. And what I like about these projects is they just get you up and going with like a really quick front end. And that front end is kind of like laced with all these cool like Alchemy tools that get you up and running with like this kind of kick-ass app in like less than 10 minutes in a few kind of terminal commands. So that's all good and well, but I'm also thinking like that's great, and anyone can kind of copy paste a few commands, which we will do today because it's important to learn that. But also I'll take a little tangent into actually just like looking at setting up a basic front end generally, like not related to Web3, not related to Alchemy. We'll do kind of both just to make sure we're covering everything. And then we'll kind of see what comes out of that. Yeah.
I'm here for it. Let's do it.
All right. Awesome. So yeah, please, any questions, comments, throw them in the chat, or live it up. This is the first time I use Restream, but it's pretty awesome so far.
Huge fan.
So what I'll do is, first of all, I will share my screen. Mm-hmm. And let's get started.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to take us. I'm going to put you down in purgatory in the corner until your screen's ready. Hi, everyone. I'm big now.
All right. I'm just going to delay sharing my screen.
You're the worst. No, fine. Here, I'll hit you back. There.
All right. There we go. All right. So I'll share my screen and just kind of off the cuff. Again, as Derek mentioned, if you guys really wanted high production value, I will introduce you to real high production value, which is just confirming, Derek, guys, can you see my screen okay?
Yeah, you're doing great.
Okay, perfect. So speaking of high value, high content, high quality value content, I'm glad you guys are here for like the off the cuff session into like learning how to set up a quick front end and maybe like quick exposure to some of the Alchemy tools. But I will plug Alchemy University is Alchemy's kind of premier educational service. It's completely free. We're in early access mode. So if you are here today and you're hearing this, please, we'll find some way. It's early access, like NFT gated. If you are here, you are going to get the NFT early access so that you can experience both JavaScript fundamentals, which kind of teaches you basics of coding via JavaScript if you are kind of that user profile, or if you're already kind of familiar with coding and that's all good and want to get into Web3 concepts, cryptographic fundamentals, blockchain fundamentals, as Derek mentioned, like what the heck is a node? And like, I like Derek mentioned the concept of thinking of a blockchain as just a super slow computer. And I think of it exactly that way too. Like a blockchain is just like this 1950s era spec computer.
the giant ones that take up the whole room just to do basic math.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we've kind of
It's
done
true.
work
It is
on
that
this.
actually.
It's
It's
actually true.
if
Like
you think of the actual physical space taken, like especially by proof of work networks. I mean, now that we're on proof of stake and Ethereum, it's a little different, but it's not that different. Like there's so many physical machines all just doing basic math together.
and yeah, it basic math for like a pretty low kind of output of like computation. And it's really 1950s. Like you can look at a 1950s computer and what like the read write memory access time, you know, uh, specs were, and blockchains are kind of just about there, which is
Oh my
hilarious.
god.
So
That's so funny.
it really is, but I love thinking of it that way. If you're here and you're kind of like getting intro to Web3 and blockchain, a great conceptual approach to blockchains is they're just kind of like these weird computers. And a good conceptual approach is just like I've always said, Ethereum equals a computer, and we'll dive into that more. But just introducing the rest of AU here, this is the student dashboard. You have your JavaScript fundamentals, which I haven't started, so it's like still kind of like in that intro phase, but I've been, this is kind of my account in the Ethereum Dev Bootcamp, and you can jump back in. And then you also have Road to Web3. If you are here and you're saying like, dude, JavaScript, Web3, like I know these things off the back of my hand, like get out of there, Al, like let me lecture here. Road to Web3 is probably good for you because it's a 7-week kind of still bootcamp, but it's more like it gives you kind of more starter code, project based. It assumes you kind of understand a lot of the fundamentals. And Road to Web3 is just like, build an NFT marketplace, and all these like partners that Alchemy has contributed to Road to Web3 to like build out like this incredible course that uses all these tech stacks all across the place. Anyway, that's my quick intro of AU. If you're here, I'm so like we'll do it somehow. Like at the end,
Can they
like I'll
DM you somewhere?
yes, that's a great one. You can DM me. What would be like on Telegram,
Sure.
and I don't have access to the chat for some
It's okay.
reason.
I'll shout out if anything's coming up.
Okay, perfect, cool. So let's dive into the Ethereum Developer
Before we
Bootcamp.
do, could you do me a favor and click the hide button on the bottom there where it says
Yes.
studio.restream? Thank you.
Thank you for calling that out.
Yeah,
I
yeah, of
once did
course.
like this whole thing, and when you download a file and like Chrome does like a downloaded tab here,
Yeah, yeah.
I once did like a whole, I don't know, it was like this whole long time.
Oh, and it had like the PDF name on the bottom
Okay.
or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah.
good.
It wasn't, yeah,
You
but
good.
okay, cool. So, Ethereum Developer Bootcamp, I've already done the intro. I'm going to skip everything and kind of make a bunch of assumptions because I want you guys to experience this for firsthand. The bootcamp, week one, everything that we have here in terms of best practices to maximize the value of the bootcamp, which is like community, choosing your own pace. This bootcamp is completely asynchronous. You get out what you put in. We always say, learn, learn, learn. If you get stuck, we're kind of training people to become like these 10x developers, right? And like it sounds really weird, but like number one suggestion we say if you get stuck is do your own research. And a lot of people are like, dude, how like aren't you supposed to help me? And like, well, the thing about it is if you're a developer at a company, Alchemy, Google, OpenSea, whatever, DYOR is like number one, thought process behind developing. So, okay, enough
It's
intro.
also well, just to zoom in on that, like, because for just to clarify what he's saying,
Yeah.
it and put the like funny edge on it. He's saying if you have a question, don't ask it. Search for it. Somebody probably already asked it. Or more specifically, go check out your Stack Overflow, go check out your GitHub, go check out other maybe Discord servers. They don't have great indexing for searching, unfortunately, but those are the kinds of resources somebody probably already asked. And even ask ChatGPT. Depending on what the thing is, ChatGPT will just spit out an answer. Or like GitHub Copilot, like tell GitHub Copilot, like comment, this is a function that withdraws from this other function or whatever, and it'll give you an answer. So we live in a world where a lot of the answers already are at your fingertips, and learning how to ask the right questions and where is the fundamental skill. The expectation is not, as you're learning these things, at any stage of your learning from beginner to expert, that you fully memorize what you're learning and never forget it ever. No, you're learning it enough so that you can forget some, but know what to search later when you need it. Because Al, in your professional life, if you've like made SDKs or whatever, like you're constantly Googling stuff or searching. I'm trying to say Google less often. You're trying at least like you're doing this to this day, right? Even though you've been in the industry for years.
Oh, 100%. And not even like super like low level things. Like you I can even verify this with like my browser history. Like I look up stuff on Stack Overflow like how to traverse all the characters in a string in JavaScript. Like I look that up
The
almost on
basic,
a daily
like
basis.
what's that? Like MDN, just going to MDN like every day. Like, what's that one method on arrays? Oh, slice. Yeah. It was not map. It was slice for sure. Like that's okay. There's no shame in that. So
Exactly.
anyway,
And
I just wanted
thanks
to
for
like highlight that.
no, you cleared that up because sometimes I don't communicate and just say like, hey, step number one, DYOR, but it's really like a kind of teach a man to fish kind of thing. And like as a professional dev, you really kind of do DYOR all day unless you look. I'll shout out Dan. He's like one of the like best devs on our team. He's incredible. And I could totally be bothering him all day, just like, hey Dan, I'm stuck. What is this? What is this bug? What is that? What is that? But like he also has a bunch of things to do. So like I there's just it's just not a sustainable approach. So that's why
Mm.
like DYOR, obviously, like Dan is a last resort. First, I gotta, without saying all these company names, like look up, these problems for myself. And once I've exhausted all these things, then kind of, well, what we suggest here is obviously ask the community, right? Get into the Discord and stuff. But yeah, it's such an important part of kind of professional development that it just has to be said in just the best of ways. Just like, we have so many tools. Shout out Chat GPT nowadays that, you know, there's that's step number one straight up.
Hmm.
So
Okay, where
cool.
were you before I interrupted?
No, you didn't interrupt at all. And just okay. So just wanted to give those quick high levels, and now I'm going to jump directly into the front end projects. These front end projects are featured in week 6. So I'll pull up the first one, and I'll follow the flow, very impromptu flow that I kind of set up initially. This one is called an ERC20 token indexer app. What I'll do is I'll show you guys kind of basically what the setup of this app looks like as if you were an AU student, because this is kind of like an article slash guide. And the cool thing about this one is it has you clone the repository from GitHub. We'll do that shortly. Step 2, add in your Alchemy API key, and you'll see like firsthand how like as soon as you add in your Alchemy API key, this is kind of plug and play, and your app is like boom, it's working, right? So what I love about these activities is the step 3 is really kind of more on you because
Mm.
we help you get set up really quickly, but like we built it out kind of purposefully bad, which sounds weird because we want you guys to fix all the kind of badness code we not like insecure code or nothing like that, but like, for example, like the app you'll see isn't styled the best and the code itself is not commented. So like we encourage you guys to like build on these projects and just kind of get going real quick. So that's what we're going to do. And if we have time, I'm assuming we will, I'm just going to go and look up, for example, Vite.js, which apparently is a French word for quick. And Vite is a build system that we like to use at AU. And it's basically very much like Webpack, if you're familiar with that, or I'm trying to think of another one like it's basically like something that powers your front end local development in like super quick ways. Other build systems are like a little clunky and might take time. You'll see that with Vite, it's just so quick to get started. So we're gonna do that flow first of like seeing this Alchemy University app specific one be set up, see it run, kind of demo it, all cool, and then like let's create one from scratch and see how easy it is. Just do it. And it really is that easy. So checking in, since I can't see the
Yeah,
studio,
yeah.
any questions, any clarifications I should do at this
Um,
point?
let's make one clarification.
Yeah.
for those of you with your Derek bingo cards at home, you can stamp mentions he used to be a high school teacher. There's a part of me that would like for you to name the stack here so that folks can identify which pieces of it they might be a little familiar with and which pieces they've never seen before. Not that they need to understand everything, but just so they know, like, oh, you're about to use chakra for styling components. I've never looked at chakra, but at least that's the syntax I won't understand. So what are we working with here, starting with HTML?
Perfect. Okay. And keep me honest on that. I'm going to cheat a little and pull up another article here. Since we're doing final project weeks recently, we have like this little doc called Final Project Guidelines. And this is like, we kind of exactly label out the stack that we're going to use exactly today. So I'm just going to have this. I didn't have time to throw together some sites.
That's all I was looking for.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the stack that will power this like impromptu little ERC20 indexer app, which I'll explain what it does in a second. We're going to use React, which is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. And feel free to like, if you're following along, like feel free to pull these up and just, as context, guys, like I am a front-end developer, but like, don't be like, this is just me, right? But I'm not like a super in the weeds guy. I just know like this app is written in React. Its build system is Vite because it's very quick and it's easy to start up. And it gives me a local front-end development super fast. I'll go through these a little more slow. And then Chakra is just, and I'll just read this, a simple, modular, and accessible component library that gives you building blocks you need to build your React applications. So let me slow down and go through each one by one real quick, and then we'll get started with setting up the actual app. So React is just a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. A lot of people, it's just basically a framework. I think it was initially created by Facebook, and it's just something you kind of should look to learn if learning front end is in your 2023.
And I will say, if I may interrupt you, I will be interrupting you constantly.
Please.
Okay, good. That if you want to learn some React, look at the past few weeks of Front End Wednesdays. We've been going through some of their tutorials and understanding what's a component, what state, what are props, what's the syntax, why do I have to deal with getters and setters and hooks? Why can't I just declare a variable the way I expect? And shoehorning ourselves into React's opinionated syntax so that we can get all of its benefits. But React out of the box, when you do like create React app, doesn't use Vite. It uses like Webpack. So there's a learning curve there. I just want to point out learning curves because for folks that are trying to be self-taught and walk in and be like, I want to learn blockchain development. It's like, guess what? You got to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Vite, Chakra UI, and Alchemy's API to be able to do this one thing. And I just wanted to name that, like, that's a lot of stuff. And if you don't already know React and Vite and Chakra UI, this tutorial just got harder, which is not a problem because you could be like Al and just kind of like close your eyes and copy paste and not think too hard about what some of the command line things mean and just let Vite do its job, for example. But when you get to Chakra UI, just know, like, this is one, as far as my naive understanding goes, pretty common choice for styling in the industry, and it's different than raw CSS or Sass, and it's different than Tailwind or Tailwind UI. And not that it's better or worse, but that if you're going to go deep down Chakra UI, that's its own syntax, and that's different from Material UI or these other things I just mentioned. So I want to frame all of these things as things you could totally learn and let you as the learner decide which ones you want to learn how deep and when. So enough setting the table. I think we can dig in.
All right, let's do it. And I'll just finish kind of this stack intro.
Oh, sorry, quick. Go for it.
Yeah. No. You gave amazing context on React. Again, Vite is just like, and we'll deconstruct this a little more from scratch after kind of deploying this app and seeing what it does, thanks to like Alchemy tooling and stuff. But basically, like the TLDR is, and again, this is just like my way of thinking of it as well, as Derek mentioned, like this is just a build system that you'll see makes front-end development like super fast. And then that's kind of like most, for this purposes of the workshop, like that's all you should kind of know. And then you can always rabbit hole further. So Chakra UI, I will point out, and I'll go to their page, if you've ever coded out like let's see if I can get like a raw HTML editor super quick. Let's see. Okay, so like I don't know. I haven't done raw HTML in so long. I've code
Let's
members
do it. Let's
now.
do it.
Okay. All right. So
Okay.
all I'm trying to get in here is like an input tag or something. So
Okay.
let's see. Uh, is it gonna let me like do? Oh, it's an
Like a
editor. No.
WYSIWYG.
Oh, WYSIWYG. Let's see. I won't spend too much time on this. Like write HTML tool, write HTML Pro. I want like a let's see. If it doesn't work, it's fine because I can just do like raw HTML input box and just look at the image that I was trying to render. Okay, I guess this is good enough, right? Okay, so it's not too clear here, but in raw HTML, when you construct like, when you want to get like an input box in and raw HTML renders that, this is kind of what you get. Just like that little box, and it's like it kind of looks, crappy initially, and you have to do like a ton of styling, and that's like, that's kind of a headache. As developers, we just want a quick start most of the time and just kind of go for it. This is kind of where Chakra jumps in and allows you to like kind of quick start the styling a little bit, and you'll see. So instead of doing raw HTML for like an input box and you getting that kind of like weird white non-styled one, Chakra gives you like these pre-built instant go-to components that, for example, you import into your project and you immediately get like a much better looking, much more functional input box. And that's it. Like,
Wait, does Chakra UI have a command switcher for navigating the website? How did you do that? Was that just their search box?
yeah, that's
Oh,
just
okay. That was a slick search. Oh my god. Sorry, moving on.
no. I've been in here quite a
Damn.
while for some time, but that's how I like to explain Chakra around the office. Like, write CML, it's cool, but it kind of just gives you the bare bones scratch. Chakra lets you kind of start off 5 steps ahead by giving you that same kind of rawness, but your components are like instantly just much better and easier to look at and much more accessible. And all that takes in the code is just that. You need to import the component from Chakra and then put it into your React code in this way. And we'll see that today. But that's just the super quick intro on Chakra. It just kind of starts you up from not having to do like raw HTML into just like pre-built, super quick components. And cool. So X out of that. And that's like the stack that we'll explore today, but obviously there are a bunch of other combinations that we can do. I'll go back to week 6 and introduce the ERC20 indexer app. So for some context, at this point in week 6 of AU, we cover like the ERC20 token standard, how it's important to powering like the Ethereum and Web3 like ecosystem generally. And we kind of now introduce a very cool Alchemy SDK powered tool that lets you run this. So in this ERC20 indexer app, our main goal is to construct an app that is front-end facing, like an application that people can visit. And in that, we'll have a user plug in their address. It will make a query to the blockchain, and it will instantly or near instantly show all of their balances, right? So the way this is accomplished is via Alchemy SDKs and Alchemy SDK and Alchemy's enhanced APIs. So here, the app will set you up below with a powerful combination of the following Alchemy enhanced API endpoints, which is Alchemy get token balances and Alchemy get token metadata. So let's get this app up and running so that we're actually looking at something, and we can always like dissect it further before I'm just like talking over text, which is always here and available to you. So let's just follow the steps. Step 1, cloning the repository. The ERC20 token balance application can be found here. In order to clone the repository, follow these steps. So number 1, open a terminal and navigate to the directory of your choice. So I'll slow down here and just say like, if you're intending to follow along with this like super quick demo, this is the place where like, open up a terminal and I'll try. Unfortunately, I don't have access to the chat. Otherwise, I would just copy paste these commands. But they're kind of pretty simplistic as well, and you can always visit the repo itself. So cool. I'll just open up a terminal. What this kind of guide assumes at this point, since we're in week 6, is that the user knows like where to put a project. So what I'm going to do is open up a terminal, and I'm going to cd into my desktop, which means, I believe, change directory into desktop. It's a cd is like a terminal command. And I'm going to make dir, which is like make a directory called, uh, front end Wednesday demo. And I'm going to cd into front end Wednesday demo. Okay, so I've got like my little directory. I'm going to run ls. ls is just like give me whatever contents are inside here. I'll make this a little bigger. And cool. So I'm going to just move on to the next step, which is run git clone this big long string, which is just like the SSH kind of URL for this repo. And cool. We'll run this. And as a note, git clone is just like, it's basically fancy talk for git copy paste. So what we're doing is this repo is public, which like all the code for this repo is public. All we're doing with via git clone is we're saying, hey, can you copy paste that repo into my local directory, please? And you'll notice after I've run that command and running ls again, I have that kind of file or folder cloned down. The ERC20 indexer from GitHub is now in my local file system. So I'll cd into that, and then I'll run ls again, and you'll notice all these files have been kind of cloned down onto my local. So good stuff. Going to continue following along the steps. We're almost there. It's like it's just kind of nuts how quick this is. Run cd ERC20 indexer to move into the newly cloned directory. That's step 3. We did that. Run npm install. So what happens with npm install is we are cloning this directory that contains like a bunch of like source code, right? And in that source code, like for that source code to run, it requires a bunch of dependencies. And these dependencies are listed in the package.json. You can always look at them. And those dependencies, for example, are Chakra UI, which we'll use to like style our project, the Alchemy SDK, which we'll use to like superpower our project, ethers, React, and like all these good stuff. What npm install does, it says, hey, check the package.json, check the dependencies, and install all of them into our local so that we can kind of get up and running real quick. Cool. So we've done that. And now step 5 is run npm dev start. Oh, dev start. Let's see, npm.
What's dev? It says.
Let's see. Did I find? Sometimes I like npm run dev. Okay, so we found this is good.
Okay, we can do a pull request on the docs. We did it. Hey, you think you're embarrassed? We have done not one but 2 different pull requests on the React docs over the past couple weeks because their new docs are in beta, and they were just basic typos. But that's a pretty important one. Let's make sure that we make a note to update that after this.
That's a super important one. I can't unfortunately link the repo, but if anyone finds it, it's just like Alchemy platform / ERC20 indexer. If anyone wants to get some PR practice,
beam me up now. Get in there.
if anyone wants to do like PR practice and like kind of help us update this, whoever does it successfully first, on me or like personal gift from me, gets some Alchemy swag. If anyone wants to take
what? Wait. I just perked up for swag. I'm guilty of this. There's a certain category of people in the world that will do anything for like an airdrop or a POAP or anything like that, like any meaningless internet points. So as soon as you throw like t-shirt into the mix, like it's on.
T-shirt and possible water container.
Yeah, we did just get a nice post from Beam Me Up Now. He said, PSA, only clone repos from those that you trust, because when you clone that repo and download those files, and then do that, the variety of command line commands that you just saw Al run through, you're running a bunch of code, and that code could do a bunch of different stuff. And so this is the exact moment where malicious things might be happening to you. So do not go cloning any old shadow repo. What did she call them, Elizabeth Warren? Shadowy supercoders might be tricking you into cloning repos. Make sure you're checking what organization or what person or whatever, or DAO posted it. And, even from a reputable organization, there are attack vectors from people that have access to these things. So just something to be aware of.
Great call out. Yeah. Verify this, verify that's Alchemy platform, verify that's not like, Alchemy with like, one less letter or something. Is that, yeah, we don't want anything running on your local, because sometimes these projects, these source codes can be like super big, and you'll notice that the git clone like actually takes some time to pull all that source code down. So that's also another kind of indicator sometimes, like, be aware of that. But yeah, great call out.
Okay. So thank you for being pretty explicit so far. What we've done is the exact same steps you'll do for a huge variety of projects. We found a repo that already exists that someone else made, cloned it onto our local computer, and then ran npm install and npm, I think it was like run dev or something. That was like some Vite syntax. But we downloaded the skeleton, which itself had a package, which we're using Node Package Manager or NPM. A lot of people also use Yarn to handle this stuff. Either way is fine. But we installed the rest of the dependencies. And in this way, our local machine now has everything that it needs to spin up the example of like where this code was left off.
Right. And this is kind of the moment of truth where we can actually now look at the step one kind of conclusion is here, where we can finally look at, thanks to Vite, what we did with that last command, by the way, the npm run start, which is the one that should be PR'd. And again, call out, if you PR it, swag your way via Alchemy as a thank you, and you get some practice. So what that actually does, it just says, hey, Vite, you're the build system for this local project. Can you run a local server where I'm going to, actually the local server will act as if, when you're visiting a website, a server serves that website to you, right? An AWS server probably these days. Vite is kind of that, but on local. And now we can actually go and see it. Hey, there we go. We have a fully built kind of like skeleton, obviously dark moded ERC20 token indexer. And it says plug in an address, and this website will return all of its ERC20 token balances. So that's pretty cool. And let's try to do that. So do we have a volunteer address?
Let's wait 20 seconds. If anyone wants to paste any address, it could be yours, it could be somebody else's. It does need to be the OX form, because I saw it down there. It said, and as a bonus, make it ENS compatible. It's not ENS compatible yet. So if anyone in the next 20 seconds wants to copy paste an OX blah, 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 blah address into chat, we will use it for the sake of the example. Otherwise, you'll have to dox yourself and probably grab your own wallet or something. Oh, we got one.
Hey, okay. Thanks for saving me. I would have pulled up a random one from Etherscan.
Okay, we got two. We can do both. Oh, Dead Ace is here. Good to see you. Oh, we have three. Okay, let's do them all.
Let's do them all.
So I encourage you to. Is it easy if do you have Telegram open or what?
I can.
Can you copy paste these?
Sorry for like the Inception mode that's going on.
Hey, what's up, Inception mode?
What's up? Shout out to like Bo Burnham's Inside, where he does this and he like talks to himself via these like Inception pillars.
It was a really good scene. Shout out.
Right. Okay. So okay. I'm just gonna grab Jonathan's here and let's check out. Let's see. Let's get this going. So by the way, like to make this like a little less anticlimactic at the end, this is not gonna work. You'll see why. This is not gonna work.
Thank you for the heads up. I appreciate it. You got to calibrate people's expectations.
We'll get it to work via step 2, and it's going to be something super simple, but you'll see. So we're plugging in this address, and we kind of click it, and it's like, what the heck? Nothing's happening. And and by the way, like error handling and stuff like that is also one of the challenges that we include. Like this error is this UI currently is like extremely bad UX. Like we have a user here that is trying to use our app for the functionality that it is saying that it will do, and then like they're like clicking this or whatever, they're plugging in, they're doing everything right, and that's just like frustrating because like what is happening? Obviously, like us like front end folks might look at the console and like like see this immediately.
The dog burning "this is fine" meme.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll see the console. This is like Beat, by the way. This is like the local host kind of and browser and what is happening, right? So you'll see if we open it and click the button again, like it'll like make that error again, say like, hey, what's going on? And if you like really read that error, it's saying you're not authenticated to make this server request. And we'll see why. So currently the skeleton source code is rigged up to the Alchemy SDK, and it's making the request. Like, let's actually pull this up on local. We'll create a new tab, and I'll do code dot. Code dot is just like, hey, VS Code, open this project up right now, and it'll open up. So quick kind of, we kind of looked at this already. Package.json has like all the dependencies. The real important kind of file here is the app.jsx. Everything is included here. And like, let's look at this real quick. So I'm going to break it down just a little bit more. Whenever we click that check ERC20 token balances, what this skeleton code does is it is rigging up a button. That button is like directly saying that. And if you don't believe me, like we can do like, we can add an exclamation point, click save, and notice how like it immediately added it. So like that button.
Veet. Wow. Blazingly fast.
Blazingly fast. Beat is crazy. So like you can see this button is directly rigged to the backend source, right? So what we are doing now is we're saying, hey, every time you click this button, run the get token balance. And that's achieved via what is called like an on-click hook, which is something that React gives you. And you can put on buttons and you can say, whenever the user clicks, do this. And what this is the get token balance. So let's go to that function, and it's just at the top of the same file. And this is an asynchronous function that is called get token balance. And it like kind of sets up all the Alchemy good stuff via configuring like an Alchemy SDK core object and all this good stuff. So you'll notice we still don't have an Alchemy API. We still don't have an Alchemy API here. And that's why like our app is failing. That's kind of the crux of why this app is failing. So let's go back to step 2, get this app working, and let's hope everything works out. Great. And by the way, like more UX discussion is you'd usually want to anticipate these types of errors and bubble them up to the user in like a nice, friendly way. So in this challenge, like step 3 is, for example, challenge number 5 is there is no checking for wrongly formed request or really any error checking of any kind. What you'd probably want to do on the UI UX front is anticipate such errors and bubble them up to the user in like a friendly way, probably like a pop-up or like a text box opening saying like, hey, you're missing an Alchemy API key. What's going on here, right? Okay, so moving on to step 2 is add your Alchemy API key. So it says the project won't work yet since we have not loaded an API key from Alchemy. And the whole point of this superpowered project is to use the Alchemy super powerful tools to get this to work. So it just guides you through some of the setup. Sign into your Alchemy dashboard. I'll do that right now. Is that another PR? This is good.
Yeah. Mr. Dedes in the chat says screenshot button on standby for when you slip and like show some kind of key that he can take.
Oh, I'm totally gonna show an Alchemy API key, and which is obviously like not recommended. but I'm just gonna break through it. Like Alchemy's not gonna be happy with this, like full on.
Just I could stop the screen share for 2 seconds.
No, it's okay. So what I'll do
We're
is
doing it live.
we cannot. So like we've done this before, and obviously like we're okay to show like what I'm gonna do is name this app. So Alchemy has you like create specific apps to get analytics on your specific API key. What I'm gonna do is like a test Alchemy API, right? Alchemy API app. And the reason I'm labeling it test is this is going to be for testing purposes, so it's okay if like people see it. And after this call, I'll like probably talk to Gnome or someone to disable it and like nuke it or something. So just for testing purposes, it's okay if the key is seen by folks. And obviously, like API key, you don't want to have people see it, like in generally keys ever. But the number one you never want anyone else seeing but your own eyeballs is your private key. API keys, people can do some damage to you if they get it, but not as much damage as if they get your private key. Okay, so test Alchemy API app. I'm verifying that that's that, and I deployed it on the mainnet, and this is my Alchemy API.
Screenshot.
Screenshot. So I guess at the worst case, you guys will be able to like spam this into oblivion and then get rate limited. So
right, exactly. Hopefully there is some reasonable rate limiting already implemented.
Yeah, I mean, it's reasonable. So what I'll do is I just copied the API key directly. And again, it's just super plug and play. I'm going to, boom, get it in there. And now our app should work unless this needs like 5 more PRs or something.
Okay, let's see.
Let's see. So I am going to, let's see, where's our app? Okay, so I'm going to copy and paste this, reload the page so that it reloads kind of that fresh code change. And now let's try it. Hey,
let's go. Wow.
Let's go. So that was Jonathan, I believe. Jonathan has a balance of like a very, very small balance of USDC, some wheat
dust.
has a zeroed balance, and some SOL, which probably indicates he's like transacted in these before. But wasn't that like lightning quick? That was like incredible. So should we try some more queries just to see like this kind of work throughout more?
Let's grab another address.
All right, let's do it.
You have to scroll up a little bit.
So let's see. Alana the Web3 girl. Let's see. All right.
Time to get it. As you're doing this, I will say I find it weird that people use their ENS as their Twitter handle and they're saying, "Hey everyone, here's what I currently own and everything I've ever done." It's so bizarre.
Some people like live that blockchain life,
Like I'm comfortable talking about money more than most Americans, but still, that's like we just experience just for a culture of people that are so privacy oriented and zero knowledge to be like, yeah, check it out. It's like, and then they always say like, well, yeah, you got to have multiple wallets, right? This is just the one I want to show you. It's got a bunch of DAO tokens. It's got a couple NFTs I want to show alignment with. And I'm like, well, now you're just really overcomplicating it. You're like pretending a version of yourself you want to display over here, and then you've got other stuff you're hiding. It's just a whole game around identity and visibility that's being played. But anyway, let's see what Alana the Web3 girl wants us to know. Thank you for being. She says, well, it depends who you are and your profession, but I get your claim. I think it takes time to get used to it. I'm used to it. I throw people's ENS in zapper.fi all the time. I'm super curious. If you're going to put it out there, I want to know.
Remind me not to give you my ENS.
Honestly, it's only interesting when they're whales. I come from the new school. I'm like that 2020 bull run wave of folks that are new here. Like none of us have like 1,000 ETH. But then there are some people that are from like 2016 that are like, yep, that wallet's got over $1 million. And I'm like, what? And that's just one of your wallets?
And then you see their NFTs is all like these like weird kind of junky NFTs. Like
yeah, a bunch of weird ones.
Let's see Alana's balance.
Okay.
It'll be super quick, and I'll explain why. This is something I'm skipped over, not purposely, but just like off the cuff. I'll explain why this is like being super quick and the benefits of Alchemy's enhanced APIs and why like they superpower devs just like we're doing now. So let's do it. Boom, Alana, just a
Why,
0.0.
Alana? Why did you... I think one of the questions that's hanging here is what kinds of ERC20s is this checking, and are there any ERC20s it's not? Compared to something like Etherscan. If you put the same address in Etherscan, is it going to say 0 ETH and have nothing else to say?
Verify.
Okay, bada boom.
So look.
Some look.
Oh, that's ERC 721.
Oh,
So,
never mind. Okay, so yeah,
apparently
no
ERC.
20s. Okay, Alana, what are you doing? Why'd you give us this one?
It's all
It's an
good.
ERC20 checker.
It's one of the multiple identities one, not the whale one. So,
so it's checking ERC20s. The most conspicuous thing it's not checking is Ether.
so Ether, good call out. Ether is not an ERC20 token.
Right. It's the native gas token.
Yes, exactly. So Ether is like the native cryptocurrency to like the Ethereum computer. This is just, and this is probably a good time to like now like show why this is like the good stuff, right? And this is like what it says at the beginning. So this skeleton application uses the Alchemy SDK in order to instantly return all the ERC20 token balances of an address. Whoa, you know, and you know, I'll just keep
Shout
reading
outs
here.
to whoever wrote this. This is fun.
This is me.
You wrote this?
Yes.
Good job. I love this.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so thanks to the Alchemy SDK, you can do this blazingly fast. This is because the Alchemy SDK is rigged directly to Alchemy's own Alchemy get token balances endpoint, and it's linked here for any of you curious folks that want to like learn why. Maybe a question was like, does it check all ERC20 tokens? Does it return literally every one? I believe it just returns an array of 100. So there we go. Like the 100 dress, which you can override and do all these things. And the cool thing is it just gives you like a quick demo. It actually like indexes Vitalik's address, and you can try it directly here. And it just like instantly gives you like Vitalik's like all these, you know, contract address and token balances and stuff like that. So obviously
will you copy Vitalik's and throw it in our Vite front end, yes, or our React front end?
Let's do it.
Just so we have
it's probably going to like blow it up or something. Let's see.
Well, we'll have upwards of 100.
Oh no.
Broke?
Well, this is a challenge for you guys. Get Vitalik's address to work.
I mean, yeah, as far as debugging goes, I'm pretty curious what in particular.
Hey, there we go.
There we go. Okay, interesting. So, so it was doing 2 in a row or something.
Yeah, so 2 in a row. Or
some of them don't have images. Interesting.
Yeah, some don't have. Yeah, and this is like via Alchemy's own indexing, right? Like the project itself has to say like, hey, this is my image or whatever. So Vitalik has like a healthy amount of rye. You know, let's see, a healthy amount of.
These numbers are ugly. My first thought is we need to style these numbers.
Numbers are ugly. So if you want like a good weekend challenge, again, like let's see, add some styling, like. Number 4, the token balances can sometimes like be a little long and break the outline of the page. Can you like fix that? That's what I like about this activity is like, okay, it gets you up and started with a front end, cool, and it works. Like you plug in your Alchemy API key, enhanced APIs are doing a lot of cool stuff. But like, cool, man, like, okay, I guess this works. But now like these are actually some tangible kind of like low to medium hanging fruit that you can actually tackle over a weekend or a day or an afternoon or a session. And like, this is not us, this is all you. And the cool thing is everyone will probably build these challenges out different, right? So some people, so like Derek's probably looking at this UI and saying like, you know what, I would probably not use a stack there or something. Not to, you know, assume you're not a stack person. I don't know, but you know, someone else might say, you know what, I don't want to show more than 3 chars after the decimal, and I don't want to show like less than, you know, 5 chars before or something. And that will just, you know, for example, this, right? We don't need to know that Vitalik holds this amount .779 all these things. We just need to probably round up here, and that will fix the breaking, right? So it's all these challenges for you to tackle. I'll just finish with explaining why like this is blazingly fast. So what it does is Thanks to the Alchemy SDK, this is the Alchemy get token balances endpoint, and we plugged in Vitalik's address, and it got like all of Vitalik's ERC20 tokens. And this is an extremely powerful API that Alchemy provides, because can you imagine what a headache it would be to acquire all of the ERC20 token balances of an address otherwise? You would need to manually, one, go through every block in the blockchain, in the Ethereum blockchain. Two, go through every transaction in every block. 3, index each one. 4, see whether the transaction involves any ERC-specific events, meaning they've interacted with an ERC-20 compliant smart contract. 5, build up your own database. 6, we like didn't even include all these steps. Like 6, deploy your own server to serve all this data. And it's so much that the developer needs to do. And the developer at the end of the day is trying to build an application that in some point needs all the ERC20 balances of a user for whatever use, right? You can think of so many uses. It can be, a user that has more than 100 ERC20 tokens can do this or whatever. There's just any functionality you can lace into it. So that's all super difficult. Thanks to Alchemy's enhanced APIs, this is no longer a burden on the developer. So and it kind of just shows you the 2 Alchemy enhanced API endpoints that are used in this project, and we can actually see them here, right? So we do alchemy.core.get token balances, which is that first one, and we also do get token metadata, which is kind of that like the token metadata. Thanks to that call, we can like get the symbols and stuff like that. So yeah, and any questions? I would have loved to. So we have another one, maybe for you guys to check out once you guys get early access via either pinging me on Telegram or pinging Derek. We have another one in the NFT section that's called an NFT indexer app. And in the same exact vein, for example, if you're trying to build an NFT gallery for ETH Denver for whatever use, right? Maybe it's just a feature in your broader NFT application. The Alchemy enhanced APIs will help you so much, because in that same vein, what if you get all of the NFTs that a user owns? It's extremely difficult because you would need to manually, again, go through every block in the blockchain, go through every transaction in every block, index each transaction, see whether the transaction involves any ERC 721 specific event. And it's just this whole thing that you don't want to do as a developer, because it just takes so much time. Like you would never do that just to show some NFTs. So we have the exact same app, but it does NFT indexing. It just shows all the NFTs owned by an address. That one would have kind of probably been a little cooler to see, since it's just more cool to see NFTs pop up here than just a bunch of balances. But it's really the exact same application, and it's plug and play, and it gives you the same exact like challenges at the end. But obviously these are fitted for the NFTing. Like in this, the NFT images can sometimes like appear and sometimes not. Sometimes like the NFTs break the like little grid system, and it's just this whole thing. So maybe a good kind of weekend activity once you get early access into AU if you haven't gotten it yet. And I'll stop there.
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing your screen. Feel free to switch back over.
Hey.
Bada boom, bada bing.
Bada boom, bada bing.
Bada boom. Okay. And then did I get this right? People can send you a message on Telegram at what is that? Alukin?
Yes. Perfect.
If you would like early access to Alchemy University, this is your chance. He'll know that you are actually here live if you send it now. He will not be giving these out a week from now. I'm arbitrarily creating scarcity, which is something the marketing team tells me to do. I like living in abundance. I'm pretty sure you're a nice guy, and if people send you a DM politely in 2 weeks, you'll still let them in. But I'm just saying, get on it if you're interested. We do free tutorials here as a community, because like we believe very firmly that if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. And that's to quote the African proverb. And so thank you for all you did with your own 2 hands to write out a lot of those tutorials and repos for folks to get in there and get their hands dirty. So if you have questions, don't ask Al. If you were paying attention in the beginning, you do your own research. You try your best to figure it out first. But then if you're truly, truly stuck, You got the
Ask,
Alchemy
ask away.
Discord. You can DM him. I mean, it's literally his job to relate to developers. And so he's here for you as a resource on your learning journey.
100%.
And also, I just want to say that for folks that are looking for a financial motivation to continue down this learning path, I happen to know that Alchemy is a pretty big sponsor of ETH Denver, which is happening in just under a month. So the exact things we've learned today are the kinds of things you can expect to see Alchemy put out as some of their bounties at ETH Denver 2023. I don't know if you know any of the details there or from recent other hackathons or biddle-a-thons what kind of bounties you typically do. But at a high level, I can definitely say using Alchemy's API is probably going to be the format of the bounty, right? My project uses Alchemy, right? And if your project includes a front end trying to display data, Alchemy is probably useful. So just in terms of the game theory of participating in a biddle-a-thon and giving yourself a good shot to get some like cost benefit risk reward, I highly encourage folks to consider using Alchemy in your project to save yourself a bunch of development time. And if that project happens to be at ETH Denver, to potentially win some bounty money along the way. Plus, you get to see Al in person if you're coming. Are you coming?
Yes.
And say hi.
Say hi. Say hi, and say you were at this workshop. If you do say hi, please.
Mm-hmm. I could tell from the sun coming in that you're on this hemisphere, and that means that it's probably not too hard for you to get over to Denver.
Yeah, so, for sure.
If folks have any other questions, you know where to find him. Oh, go ahead.
One thing I just want to make sure, Telegram, like I'm not new to it, but like I'm not sure if can people just DM?
Try it out. Someone try and send him a DM right now, please. That would actually help us out a lot.
All right.
So Alana said hi. Do you have Alana the Web3 Girls DM?
Yes. Okay. I'm getting
Great.
some DMs. Okay.
There you go. So shout outs to everyone, you eager beavers trying to get in there on the early access to Alchemy. Honestly, I'm going to send you a DM because those materials look sleek. And I also am a huge fan of being able to contribute small little pull requests to improve things because it's a really nice feeling when you're newish and you contribute just one small little piece. That's like the key moment, the turning point for a lot of folks as they enter a community is like, oh, I'm so happy to be here. Is there anything I can do? And then you contribute just a little bit, like you write a tweet or like you help put up a proposal or whatever. And you're like, oh, I'm useful. So let's all be useful and help each other out.
Yeah, and totally just like quick plug on the PR thing. I totally agree with you. When I made my first PR like a couple of years back, that was like a whole mountain for me. And then once you kind of make that first one, like a lot of things and like see it get merged and like that's like so powerful. Like future devs that get clone that code will like are cloning your thing, your contribution.
Yeah. I did my first one like 2 weeks ago, and it was on the React docs. And shout outs to Beam Me Up Now. He was the one that gave me a hyperlink that like took me to that line of code, and he like walked me through like, okay, now you gotta clone it, and now you gotta do the merge. No, you merged it to your own main. You gotta merge it over to their main. And I was like, oh, it's not working. I was like, okay, you gotta wait to get certified. You can't just merge directly to main on the React docs. I was like, oh, okay. And so it was super hard to do. And this is a general principle I want to emphasize for folks as we wrap up. Software development is really, really hard to learn. You have to learn so much esoteric syntax just to be able to start. Literally at the beginning of this tutorial, we had a hard time starting because the syntax he was typing in the command line was not matching Vite. It was probably matching some other build tool or whatever. But in exchange for the steep learning curve in the beginning, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Vite, maybe Next.js, maybe Alchemy, maybe all the Solidity, and at least understanding, if not how to write smart contracts, the interface of like what kinds of things you're talking to when you interact with the smart contracts. So much you have to learn to be able to do anything. But then once you know it, you can leverage the power of existing tools and APIs and GitHub Copilot and so on. And suddenly you're just friggin' Iron Man, just like, I made a website, 10,000 people used it yesterday. So it's really, really cool to let robots and AI help you make Naval was talking to Vitalik a couple years ago on a podcast, and he was talking about like these math castles in the sky. Like Ethereum is these cryptographic math castles that we're building together that like interact with each other. So I just want to give that little bit of inspirational speech as a way of providing some wind in the sails of folks that are considering learning this stuff, to acknowledge it will be hard. And we as a community, the ETH Denver community, the Alchemy community, literally our Discord servers are open. Please come in, explain who you are and what you're working on. We would love to support you on your learning journey.
Retweet, like human voice retweet.
Yeah. Can somebody clip that? That was a better speech than I expected. I need somebody to clip that. Laura's going to be stoked if we clip that. Please. Thank you so much for joining, Al. I appreciate it.
For sure. Just a quick shout out on the PR thing. I do mean it. If someone is here and interested in making that first PR, and that first PR just tends to be the 2 mistakes that we saw today in the guide, I will look out for those. First kind of successful one, if there's like a queue, I guess, get some swag as a thank you from Alchemy for contributing. And if you're not like the first successful one or whatever in that PR, still I will props you somehow, and you get some solid practice.
Yeah. I'll put you on the spot with a hot question. Jives Turkey was asking about other EVMs like Polygon getting supported here. What do you have to say about Alchemy endpoints and supporting other EVMs besides Ethereum mainnet?
For sure. I'm not too aware of like other EVMs, but I'm pretty aware that we already support definitely support Polygon for sure.
Polygon mainnet, Mumbai testnet.
Yes, all of that. Just like look it up, like Alchemy APIs, Polygon, Mumbai, whatever, and you'll get that same kind of like docs type for all of those. Those are there for sure.
Well, thank you all for being here. I hope you're feeling the same vibe along the Web3 Girls, feeling a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of learning. We all have things to learn from each other. And so I appreciate you all for being here and for sharing in that journey together. I hope y'all join us tomorrow for a stream I have for Theory Thursdays. By the way, quick aside, I was trying to go for alliteration on all the streams. So I wanted Wednesdays to be called Website Wednesdays. And then I got major pushback that website is a little too like archaic and you need to call it front end. And I gave up my dream of the WW alliteration, but I kept it for Thursdays, the THTH. So for Theory Thursdays, I am being joined by Tony Olendo. I highly recommend y'all come tomorrow. It's going to be a good one. And then on Friday, we are doing the third week of Raise Your Sporks, the road to ETH Denver, as we tell you more about judging bounties and other information you need to know to be successful at ETH Denver 2023. So that's what's coming up. If you don't know anything I just said and you want to, follow us on Twitter, get in the Discord. All the information's out there.
I was looking for this real quick.
Well, do you have your spork? The rainbow sporks? Get up close. Get up close. Raise your sporks.
Raise them up.
Could somebody clip that too? That was very fun. I definitely love that. I can't believe you have two. You greedy man.
I don't know how. I've been to
what meal could possibly need two sporks?
I've never used these for meals, to be completely honest.
Oh, I literally used mine to eat a salad the day I got it.
Wow. Okay. Gotcha.
May or may not have been healthy. I hope it was. I hope it was. Okay, thanks so much for joining out. I look forward to another one of these when we get a chance. And thank you to everyone else for joining. You know where to find us if you have any questions. Until then, Al, will you join me in wishing everyone goodbye?
Goodbye, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Derek, for hosting. And super excited for the next one. I'll join tomorrow as well. Very exciting.
Sweet. I'll see you there.
Thursday. All right.